ideas. They're born when two separate things come together to form something new. Incredible, fun, even magical. And the results? Well, the results can change the world. Like this crazy idea 20 years ago. What if we brought together software and the internet, business and philanthropy, companies and customers? These ideas are why we're here today, as one powerful community. And yet our future is brighter than our past. Our dreams are bigger. Our impact stronger. Our potential limitless. Just imagine what we can bring together. Let's bring dreamers and doers together. Learners and leaders. Coders and closers. Trailhead and trailblazers. Astro, Cody, Cloudy, and Einstein. You and your future. Let's bring companies and customers together. How about the right message to the right person at the right time? Let's bring customer and 360 together. Salesforce and Tableau. AI and OMG. What about retailers and shoppers, hospitals and patients, insurance and reassurance, small business, big dreams? Let's bring trust, customer success, innovation, and equality together. Equal work and equal pay, shareholders and stakeholders, C-level and C-level. Doing well and doing good. Together, we can make the world a better place because business is the greatest platform for change. We just need to let our ideas come together. Welcome to Dreamforce.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Manufacturing, Automotive, and Energy keynote. My name is Cindy Bolt, and I lead our global industry strategy team across all these industries. And what we love about these industries is they manufacture products that you can touch and feel. And they deliver services that are in our homes, and our schools, and our businesses. And more than any other industry, these industries impact our global economy more than any other. And that's what we love about them. And what we're going to talk about today is the impact that they have with all the people that are behind these industries. And these people are your ecosystem. They are your employees, your distributors. They're the technician that installed it. It's the consultant who's advising you. This is your ecosystem that is massive. And they're looking for innovation, and they're looking for new capabilities, and they expect to do and work with companies that are doing good. So how you're transforming, how you're deepening that engagement with them matters. Because the lines across all industries are now blurring, right? Who or what are delivering those products? And so what we're going to talk about today is the how. How do you deepen that experience? How do you personalize that relationship with them? But before we do that, saying thank you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for being at Dreamforce this whole week and investing time. Your time spent with us has helped us learn from you. And you've influenced our product investments, our partners, the journeys we take to have sessions like this. You've helped us understand how you're using the product in every day, along with other technologies, to influence where we need to go. And so thank you for that, because you're all on this digital transformation journey. But how you're taking that journey matters, and where you're taking it, and how you're taking action matters. And listen, whether you're in Middlestadt or Middlesburg, Ohio, you're all facing some of the same challenges in the industry, but it's the action that you take that matters. Earlier this year, BCG did a study, and the study was on 5,000 companies that looked at what action did they take to handle some of these challenges. And what was most surprising about that was only 14% took the right combination of action to show growth and margin improvement. So the pressure is on to not see these as challenges, but see them as an opportunity to seize the moment. So the conversation we're having now is about these three things. The first is, what is the digital model that you are deploying, and where are you deploying it? And the second is, what's the platform innovation that you are leveraging to adopt to change and be agile and fast? And the third is the future of the workforce. How do you retrain? How do you attract? And how do you lead the future with all these capabilities of technology? And so where does Salesforce come in? With our Customer 360 platform, we put an industry lens in all of our software and capabilities and innovation to think about how are you using this in your everyday lives. And you're going to hear today and see today some of the new ways that we're leveraging all this capability from an industry perspective. But also, as I said before, you've helped influence our partners and who we work with. And I'm really honored this year to invite an industry expert to help share with you some of the advice that they're giving to all of you and what they're hearing from the C-suite about what's important and how they're transforming. So let me invite Paul Wellner, Vice Chair of U.S. Industries from Deloitte Digital, to join me on stage and have a bit of a conversation. Thank you, Paul.
How are you?
How are you? Good. How are you doing today?
Doing great.
All right. Tell me a little bit about what you do at
Well, I'm the Vice Chairman of the U.S. Industrials practice for Deloitte. Been with Deloitte about 30 years and focused a lot right now with C-suite executives, and going to share with you today a little bit of the results of one of the studies we've recently done around smart and digital and ecosystems. So hopefully it'll be an engaging 3 or 4 minutes with this conversation.
Now, you have access to the C-suite, as I mentioned before, and best way to say is what's keeping them up at night. But what are some of the topics that you're discussing with them about their way forward in this digital transformation?
Yeah. So, I mean, in addition to the things that we hear about in the news that keep us up every night, and things like the economy and trade, and how we're going to continue to make money in our businesses, and how we're going to continue to reduce costs, those C-suite executives, those CEOs are really thinking about digital and how do they transform their organizations to be kind of the digital organizations of the 21st century. So that's one of the big things that's keeping them up at night. They think about digital in terms of not just kind of the four walls of their factory, but they think about it in terms of ecosystems as well. You guys are clearly a big part of the ecosystem with Salesforce, as well as you all as customers of Salesforce. It's an important ecosystem. So they think about that in terms of ecosystem. In our study that was really focused around the factory, we saw ecosystem as a key differentiator for those companies that were really kind of doing better than the others. And I'll tell you a little bit more about our study in a little bit. But then the other thing I'd talk about would be kind of the talent and the employees. And as Cindy mentioned, kind of that future of work. That's another thing that's really kind of keeping CEOs and CXOs up at night as they think about how do they transform their organization for the future.
In fact, earlier I think I mentioned, transformation has changed the plant floor. It never imagined this kind of transformation. And in the study that you just referenced, you talk about the smart factory. And you have actually a different view of how you define that smart factory. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the smart factory study we just released in September was done with an organization called MAPI, the Manufacturers Alliance on Productivity and Innovation. And we interviewed over 600 manufacturers, as well as we had some particular one-on-one and focus group sessions. And that was really an enlightening survey, because one of the things that we had to do in kind of thinking about the smart factory is we had to work with those executives as well as MAPI to determine a number of use cases. We had to put some crunchiness around what a smart factory was. So we came up with a dozen use cases. And those use cases aren't just inside the four walls of the organization. They transcend into engineering, they touch the customer, they touch distribution, they touch into the supply chain. So we utilize those use cases as a way to kind of frame that whole smart discussion. One of the things that came out was there were, kind of 18 or 20% of the companies, and not to not to kind of reuse this word, but we called them trailblazers. Many of you are trailblazers, here in the audience. We called those organizations trailblazers. They were investing in smart capabilities at twice the rate of the rest of the organizations in the study. They were also seeing benefits at kind of twice the rate of the organizations in that study. And again, those are self-reported benefits, so we have to still kind of maybe, look at those with slightly jaundiced eye, but they were definitely seeing, more benefits in the area of labor productivity, in the area of output, and as well as in the area of utilization. So it was really kind of an exciting finding for us. Again, I'll touch on the people topic as well, because those capabilities inside of factories, they really don't get utilized, and they don't get utilized in the ecosystem unless we've kind of got the right people who are thinking about kind of the future of work.
All right, so if we were to wrap up and you were to leave this audience with the 3 top recommendations of how to get started and where to start on the digital business transfer, their operating models, innovation platform, and you just mentioned workforce, what would your advice be?
Yeah, so I think if you kind of think about that kind of in 3 things, right? So the first thing I would recommend is, and many of you probably do this already, and it's not just connected with a transformation project, but it is start small. But you've got to start with something. So don't try to do all 12 use cases. Don't try to do all of your factories. Don't try to do all of your business processes. Begin to start small. Get some momentum, get some successes, use it as a way to potentially fund kind of the next level of activities, but start small. The second thing is kind of think about a foundation, the foundation of capabilities, a foundation of a technology platform to be able to scale those solutions in your organization. Think about how you get executive alignment going. Think about how you think about governance. Think about how you think about metrics. All basic project management capabilities, but those are even more important today when we think about kind of ecosystems. And then finally, it's talent. Again, I come back to talent because, somebody coined the phrase at one point in time that culture and talent trump strategy all the time. And we see that in spades when it comes to kind of these kind of transformations inside of organizations. And that's why talent is such a hot topic for, the C-suite as well. But, I would say the final thing is don't be afraid to be a trailblazer. Get out there and start and get something going in your organization.
And just a little plug about the National Association of Manufacturers for a moment, because I skipped over that earlier about being trailblazers and the talent. I attended the board meeting in September, and the #1 topic at a global level is around workforce, on how do you attract, retrain. In fact, they're investing in a program called Creators Wanted. And many of you, your companies, are probably investing in this program. I'm proud to say Salesforce is also investing in this program. And it's all about how do you go to the schools, how do you go in and join with organizations like the Veterans Program, as well as combining forces with companies like yours, consulting firms like yourself, in order to build the momentum, because the next generation is here. The time is now.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me. All right, back to our 3 things. What you're going to hear today are some great stories from customers that, like I said before, they're already on their journey. It's the best way to hear from your peers. And what they will do is share with us how they're leveraging the 360 customer platform to deliver on their journey. And to join us to lead that discussion is my Chief Solution Officer, Ashut Jaju. So if you come out, Ashut. Take it away. Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Cindy. Hello, Dreamforce. Thank you, Cindy and Paul. There was an amazing discussion around digital transformation, the opportunities that we have, and also the digital operating models that we need to put in place. I think, as Cindy said, we're going to talk about a couple of things. One is what we are doing with the Customer 360 platform so that we can make that digital transformation easier for you. The second is customer examples of how they're leading the way. So when we get started, I go around, meet a lot of manufacturing customers, most of you in this audience. This is the world that I see. This is the world that you see. Complicated silos, systems that are essentially inhibiting that ecosystem engagement. How do I get data from those systems into the hands of people who touch your customer, right? So how do we move from here to getting something done? So I think when we look at all of our customer examples and some of the case studies that we have done and other things, what we have seen is customers first start with that ecosystem-centric model. So start with the personas, the people who need this information. Start with them, people who touch your customers. They can be your salespeople, service people, your technicians, your contractors. Next, look at a system of engagement that brings customer-specific information, your account data, your product data, your order data, your pricing data, built-in intelligence. Then the third layer of this model is to really build it on top of this API-centric integration model. Because at the end of the day, this is all about connecting to those back-end, hard-to-get information systems that you have invested in over the last many decades. It's key that we build it in such a way that it's agile, it's repeatable, it's efficient, so that you can really move fast on this digital transformation journey. Well, we at Salesforce have been working on this over the last so many decades. This Customer 360 platform is designed to enable that ecosystem engagement. You've leveraged this to connect your salespeople, connect your service people, deliver that field service efficiency to your technicians, get digital marketing going for your customers, and now with MuleSoft, integrate into those back-end systems. And I'm proud to say now with Tableau, analyze all that data that you're going to collect and really drive business forward. However, when we talk to our customers, we continue to hear one thing, which is, hey, Salesforce, how can you help us align sales and operations? For most of you, this doesn't come as a surprise. In your businesses, predicting demand is critical to your success. It's not as if you can start a new factory or a distribution center just out there easily, right? So you have to, if you have to run a profitable, great business, understanding demand is really important. Who has the most critical information about the demand? Who's interacting with your customers? It's your account teams. They are the early warning system that you have in your organization. They are the ones who are having conversations with your customers, with your dealers, with your distributors. They're really driving this conversation. However, they do not have the tools where they can clearly see how the accounts are performing, what the forecast is for their business, what orders are customers putting in place. And if you multiply this by the hundreds of customers and partners that they have to deal with, it's a challenge. So what if they had a tool which can bring all of this information for them, analyze it, predict for them how the business is going to perform, and drive that interaction model with your operations team? How do we make that sales executive's life easy during that difficult sales and operations planning meeting? Well, now, with a new product on the Salesforce Customer 360 platform, Manufacturing Cloud, you can do this. This is a product that we have designed specifically for you, manufacturers in this room, where you can now align your sales and operations team by bringing a lot of this information together. Information about your run rate business, account-based forecasting, collaborating with your dealers and distributors, integrating that back office data, and also then running analytics on top of it so that it can drive a more predictable business. I really get excited whenever I talk about this product. We launched this last month. It's GA, it's available. It's on our price list. I'm happy to say that. We actually have customers on it, and we'll talk to one of them. But really, as you're hearing this, you must be saying, Achyut, you're like 18 minutes into Dreamforce presentation. Where's the demo? Where is the sizzle? Where's this product? Colleen, do we have a product demo? Well, let's see if Colleen can do some magic here, and show you guys this net new product designed for you guys, Manufacturing Cloud. Colleen, come over.
So Achyut just asked me if we have a demo to show you today, and what I told him earlier was at Salesforce, of course we do. And we're doing that demo today from the perspective of a company called Badger. They're an industrial manufacturer of equipment and parts, and they just rolled out Manufacturing Cloud. And it's changing the way that people work, specifically 3 people today that we're going to take a look at. The first is Cindy. She's the top performing sales rep at Badger. Cindy, we borrowed your likeness today. I hope you don't mind. The second is her business partner, Emma, who's in operations. She's responsible for managing and planning that demand. And then finally, Paul, their customer. He's a procurement manager over at a company called Acme, and he too starts to feel a shift with this new product. So let's take a look at the new way that they work together. Cindy starts her day, and she starts it here in her new homepage. It tells her exactly what's going on across her business, how she's performing to plan, and which customers are doing well, and which are not forecasted to hit their demand for the year. And what she sees here is that Acme, one of her top accounts, is trailing behind their plan. Now, as we dive in here, this is data that used to live in spreadsheets for Badger. It would be a surprise at the end of the year if all the orders were being backloaded. Now we can proactively manage it because we're tracking some data. We have opportunities for capital equipment, the sales agreement, which is what was put in place with Badger at the start of the year, and all of the order data coming out of SAP because of that MuleSoft connector. These 3 elements are very important because they feed the forecast for Badger. And what that is telling Cindy here on this screen is that Acme is not projected to meet their commitment for the year. In fact, when we look at just this particular quarter, it's even more stark. And when Cindy runs a projection of how the company should perform, even the most optimistic projections based on historical order data show that we're not going to hit the number. So we have a bit of a problem we have to deal with. Now, the way that Cindy manages this is that she uses the new account-based forecast, where she can see all of the order information from the previous year. She can see opportunities that are projected and the commitment that she agreed to with the customer at the start of the year. So let's pause for a second. I want you to think about your business. What would it take for you to have gotten here? How many spreadsheets, phone calls, and emails? Cindy now is a spot where she can, with one click, pick up the phone, call her customer, Paul, and talk about what is happening with the demand here at this count. And he says, you know what? Our orders have been down. Our customers haven't been buying at the same rate, but we do expect that that's going to pick up, and we're going to meet our commitments for the year. We just need to forecast that a little bit later. So Cindy can draw down the demand for the next couple months, increase it and spread it out later in the year. And now everybody at Badger is on the same page with the same information and has predictability into their business. So what we've been watching here is how Cindy uses this internally, but I told you about Paul. Paul is a customer of Badger, and he too is impacted by Manufacturing Cloud, because Badger has rolled out a personalized e-commerce site, and what you see on the screen behind you are all the products in his sales agreement that he structured at the beginning of the year with his negotiated pricing. That means that within 1 click or 2, he's able to order and execute against that sales agreement. And because everything is on the same platform with Salesforce, those analytics that you see behind me are immediately updated to reflect his performance by product, and he's just as much in the know. Now, it's not just ordering that he's doing with Manufacturing Cloud, he's proactively managing his business as well with Cindy. And Acme has some good news. They've just secured a new contract to expand into Asia, and they're going to need to grow their demand with Badger by about 30%, because that's the growth that they're expecting to see in their business. So he has a few questions. One, he needs to know, can Badger fulfill this for him and ensure that he gets product out on time? And 2, can he get some better pricing, because he's increasing his orders by 30%. So back at Badger, Cindy's immediately alerted in Manufacturing Cloud about this new request from Paul. And when she opens a sales agreement, she gets to work. Now, she agrees. If he's ordering more, he should probably get some more favorable pricing. But does she really know what that should look like? Do you always? With Manufacturing Cloud, we are storing all of that pricing data across all of your customers in Salesforce. And Cindy is presented with a pricing model that not only protects their margins in the organization, but allows her to get into a good position to negotiate. She quickly increases that sales agreement, adds on those additional products, prices it out, and then all she has to do is hit submit, and it's routed over to the operations team where they can evaluate how they want to move forward with this account. Operations runs in analytics. And Emma is responsible for understanding how products are performing across the organization. And she used to do this by calling up Cindy and talking about this sales agreement. And then she would call up the 200 other salespeople who are trying to sell across the organization. Now, all of that's aggregated and it's dynamic for her. So she can drill right into the product that Cindy wants to expand for her customer, check how it's been performing across the course of the year, and due to some trailing demand, she feels confident that Badger can satisfy the needs of Acme and goes ahead and approves that agreement. So what you've seen today with the new Manufacturing Cloud is how people like Cindy and Emma at Badger, using the Salesforce 360, can manage their entire business in a proactive way, no longer reactive. And how Paul, their customer, feels confidence in continuing to do business with them. So I want to thank you very much. We're going to welcome on stage Kranti, Senior Director of Product Management, who's responsible for everything that you just saw behind me. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. Picture this. You've had a fantastic quarter, yet you're dreading the upcoming business review meeting, for you know that you have to justify the inaccurate forecast, which resulted in an inventory stockout and a lot of expedites. Now picture this. You've had a fantastic quarter, yet you were able to create clarity through your organization about the changing demand, and your back office was able to adjust their plans to ensure that your demand and supply are aligned. You are now enthusiastically looking forward to your business review meetings. You are talking about strategic topics such as how do we grow revenue, how do we manage and grow our margins. Let's take a moment to think about where you are today, and more importantly, where you'd like to be. Manufacturing Cloud helps you elevate those conversations in your business review meetings from those in scenario 1 to here in scenario 2. In short, it helps you better manage your run rate business. Let's take a closer look at the product. Manufacturers make more than 50% of their revenue from their existing customers in the form of repeat business. Now, the best way to predict demand is by creating a shared and structured understanding of what the demand is going to look like. When you're creating this shared and structured demand, you would have to start by managing the whole life cycle of creating this, negotiating it, and agreeing upon it, executing it, and renewing it. Sales agreements of the Manufacturing Cloud help you manage this entire life cycle of creating the shared understanding with your customers. The agreement terms that lend structure to your overall sales agreements are configurable and can either be standard or they can be custom or both, so that your unique business requirements can be met. Now, creating sales agreements is easy, but tracking the plan versus is really hard work. And as Colin was talking about it, getting data from your back office systems and mapping your plan versus actuals is really going to be difficult, and it's time consuming. Some of our customers have told us that it takes anywhere between 6 to 14 hours to do this kind of an exercise for the quarterly business review meeting. And guess what? With sales agreements, we've done it so easy that at a glance, you can track at each and every agreement metric level on what the plan versus actuals are. And that's how we help drive transparency into your run rate business at an account level. While run rate business makes a bulk of your overall revenue and your demand, net new business also contributes to it. So how is that going to get factored into the forecast that you're going to generate? To help you create those holistic forecasts, account-based forecasting draws opportunities from the net new business, sales agreements from the run rate business, historical and current orders from your back office ERP to add in that dash of actuals, and of course, the market realities of account and market dynamics. For each of these metrics, the sales agreement forecasting, the account-based forecasting, is going to assign weights, and it's going to arrive at the actual forecasting number so that you know what exactly is the demand for each of these periods. Now, the important thing when we're talking about either agreements or forecasting is that it's almost always about your customers, your partners, your dealers, and distributors. Now, these conversations are going to be incomplete when they are not a part of that conversation. And to help you, are we on the right side? Yeah. To help you bring customers into these conversations, we've created Community Cloud for Manufacturing. And when your partners, your dealers, your distributors, and your employees are looking at the same data, they're all on the same page, be it about the sales agreement metrics or about the forecast, you are driving transparency not just internally in your organization, but across your whole ecosystem. And one of the important things when we're talking about sales agreements or creating the demand forecast is you know what the planned are, but what are the actuals? Because almost always your actuals data is locked up in your ERP systems or in the order management systems in the back office. MuleSoft helps you break those departmental silos and synchronize the back office and front office data so that you can look at the plan versus actuals in near real time on each of the agreement metrics. With Manufacturing Cloud creating so much of data, by integrating so much of data, if Einstein Analytics gives you those persona-specific insights. So as kids, we've all done this small experiment in school, right? You cast a beam of light through a prism, and on the other side, you get a rainbow. Think of Einstein Analytics as the prism. When you pass the Manufacturing Cloud data through this prism, you get persona-specific insights. And Colin earlier had shown the demand-related insights that the back office people will get, the pricing-related insights, the state of business for the C-suite, and the account insights for the sales representatives. So as kids, again, we've been told that there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Now, I don't know if that is true, but the end of our rainbow, I definitely know that there is a pot of gold. So I'd now like to invite Achyut back on stage to tell us how some of our trailblazing customers are leveraging Manufacturing Cloud to discover their pot of gold. Thank you.
Kudos to that guy who made all that stuff happen. And to be honest with you, we cannot do this without the help of you, our customers. You were a significant part of this journey that we have been on over the last 6-12 months. Actually, one of the customers who's been on this journey together with us is Kawasaki Engines. They are a big user of our Customer 360 platform. They were part of our pilot program as we started developing this product. And how they got on this journey, what have they been doing with Salesforce. For us to have that conversation, I want to bring Nelson Wilner, who's a Vice President of Sales for Kawasaki Engines, onto the stage. Nelson? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You're having fun at Dreamforce?
Oh, it's great. It's my first time.
Awesome, awesome.
time.
So, Nelson, Cindy and Paul talked about this early on. A lot of the digital business models, operating models are all centered around employees and making them effective. How have you guys thought about that?
Sure, good question. Actually, if you don't mind, I'm going to start with just a little bit of an explanation of Kawasaki and who we are. I hope everyone knows about Kawasaki motorcycles and jet skis and all the fun stuff, ATVs, side-by-sides, but Kawasaki is really a global brand name. We have 33 business units around the world, and we manufacture everything from the Shinkansen bullet train in Japan to subway cars for New York and DC, and jet engines and robots and a lot of different other products. And we are the industrial engines division. So we make lower horsepower engines, primarily to provide power to the landscaping industry, zero-turn lawnmowers and also golf carts. So kind of the less sexy side of Kawasaki, but still a very good business nonetheless.
Most of the people in the audience are using that engine. So
I hope so.
I'm not sure if it's less sexy.
Yeah, okay, well, I hope so. So in answer to your question, really, adoption and new processes are really part of our culture. And really, as far as our employees go, our vision statement is to power engines and empower employees. And so empowerment is part of the culture of our company, very deeply a part of it. And so really, when it comes down to taking care of the customer, every one of our employees can do the right thing. Everybody's opinion counts. And really, when it comes down to starting with Salesforce, that was one of the main reasons why we started with Salesforce, is our customer-facing people were requesting it.
Great. So kind of picking up on that, how did Salesforce kind of bring your employees together, especially in that customer-facing organization?
Yeah, sure. So on the Sales Cloud and Service Cloud side of things, it's really, I think of it external and internal. So from an external standpoint, we have actually 7,500 dealers around the country. We sell dealer direct. And so we are calling on these dealers. If you were to be with one of our salespeople, back in the old days, back in 2018, before we started with Salesforce, we would go in, traditional sales call, you'd talk with the customer, you'd find out what they wanted, make some notes, get back into the truck afterwards, make some notes on your laptop on the console, and all the while drinking your cup of coffee and everything. Now, and you kind of promise the customer, hey, we'll get back with you, everything will be good, and we did. But now it's a much more, I like to call it a contemporary visit. It's much more up to date. We're in there with our salespeople. We're making notes and keying it into our mobile device while we're talking to the customer. So it's more proactive. It breaks down all the information silos we have in our company. So rather than just the salesperson having this information, well, now, as soon as it's keyed in, boom, we go, and everybody back in the office, we can start working on any cases or issues. And of course, the customer is very happy too, because they see action. Yep. Rather than, hey, we'll get back with you, they see action. So that's the external side. The internal side is, again, the same folks who requested Salesforce. You know, they are, I think, people who work in customer-facing jobs, whether it's customer service or order services, they're people who care for other people. And they're nurturing people, and they want to make people happy. And so when you give them a nice tool that helps them satisfy customer demands, whether it's solve problems or just make the experience much better, you know, it's much better for them. So it's a win for the customer, and it's a win internally as well. And I believe it also relieves a lot of pressure internally. So instead of using Excel and Word and sticky notes and all sorts of stuff to keep track of customer issues, well, now we have Salesforce. And it's a much easier system.
Digital transformation.
Correct.
Real digital transformation. Right. So, you know, you've been on this journey, and then in summer we come in and talk about Manufacturing Cloud. Your folks look at this and they say, oh, wow, this is exciting, interesting. What was that spark?
Yeah, actually, you know, we've been with Salesforce, the Sales and Service Cloud, only for 11 months. So next month will be our one-year anniversary. For Manufacturing Cloud, I'm happy to say that, as you know, we're the first customer to sign up for
Thank you very much for that.
Cloud.
Thanks
yeah.
for the business.
So I thought maybe Salesforce people might clap at that or something. But yeah, thank you. So thank you, Salesforce. So we're the first one in Manufacturing Cloud, but everything I just had mentioned about the customer experience was all for the dealer side. So 7,500 dealers, you know, we're working with them on a regular basis, but the dealer vibe is totally different. And so it's about, you know, sales leads, it's about order habits and that sort of thing, and it's about trying the seasonality of the dealer to work with that. You know, the OEM side, you know, our OEM team wants to be part of our team. They're motivated, they are aligned with everything we're doing, but they would say, hey, you know, Sales Cloud doesn't really work for us. It's a different model, it's a different animal, the OEM. You know, we're working with big customers like John Deere and Toro and Kubota, and those are manufacturing companies that have sales forecasts and production forecasts. So again, our sales team really felt like, on the OEM side, felt like it really missed the mark. And so that's why Manufacturing Cloud, when you folks developed that, we were all over that. So that's really something that has engaged our full organization, because in our business, like in most businesses, you need the after-sales part of your business to be just as strong as the OEM side of the business. And so Manufacturing Cloud, we have big plans for it.
Well, one of the things I heard from your IT folks who are sitting here in the room, Tony and Ryan, they said, like, hey, we turned on sales agreements in like just 2 hours. I'm not sure what other records they're going to break. But how do you see this kind of proliferate in your organization?
You know, and first of all, a big thank you to our 2 IT guys. You know, anybody else in business, you can't do anything without your IT people. So Tony Gondik and Ryan McGuire, so thank you for all your support. But really, I think it comes down to, without overcomplicating it, and I'm a pretty simple guy, it comes down to continuous improvement. I think everybody who comes to a conference like this is about continuous improvement, personally, professionally, for their company. And so really that's what we're all about at Kawasaki too. You know, I feel like we are, and we're very proud that we're confident that we're a world-class organization when it comes to manufacturing and sales support, but everybody can get better. And that's really what it's about. It's about continuous improvement, about making yourself better. And we're really hoping and planning that Kawasaki will do very well with the manufacturing cloud.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nathan, for spending
Thank
the
you.
time. Thank you.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you.
Wow, what a great story. What a great story. So from engines to cars, automotive industry is really going through amazing transformation. Most of you know, cars are getting connected, consumer journeys are getting digitized, and BMW is at the center of this digital transformation. And they're using Salesforce Customer 360 for all sorts of different pieces where they're connecting their national sales companies with their dealers, with their consumers to drive that personalized customer experiences. Really talk in detail about their transformation. I'd like to invite Sylvia Neubauer of BMW Group on the stage. Sylvia?
Hi, Ajut.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi,
Ajut.
Sylvia. Thanks for joining us. So we talked about this massive digital transformation that's taking place in auto. Customers' journeys are getting digitized. How at BMW you're thinking about this and bringing this into your retail network also?
Yeah. So digital transformation affects every part of the customer journey. And we at BMW have looked at the future customer journey by looking at it through our prospects and customers' eyes. So we ran design thinking and customer journey mapping workshops to derive requirements with regards to our products and services, our processes, our systems, tools, and the customer interaction. And we believe that BMW in the future will play a very important role to bring data together from different systems, integrate that into a 360-degree view onto the customer, and ensure that in every customer interaction across all of the different touch points, our retail partners are empowered and enabled to handle the physical interaction, whereas we help them to really focus on the customer.
Awesome. No, that's a great vision. You have a phenomenal vision connecting kind of the physical and the digital together. This is a lot about change management of your retail organization. How are you going about that? You're thinking of bringing this innovation into retail organization.
So, as I just mentioned, our retail partners, they will remain a very important role. So they are the human interface to our customers, and therefore we want to support them as much as possible in their interaction with the customers.
No, that's great. That's great. So you talked about this, and when we talk to a lot of automotive companies, they not only have silos of systems for themselves, but also a lot of information sitting in dealer management systems. How did you integrate all of this data to really drive that personalization and customer experiences? How have you thought about that?
So we are currently rolling out several parts of Salesforce into different markets. So we are focusing on the Salesforce Sales Cloud, the Service Cloud. We are working with Tableau and MuleSoft. And we are very much focusing on lead management, on customer data management, and also on case handling across the entire sales funnel and the customer life cycle. And as we are a 100-year-old company, and we are facing hundreds of different systems in more than 140 markets worldwide, a very, very critical point in our market rollout roadmap is to connect to the various surrounding systems in those different markets. And it is a technical challenge to set up all of those APIs.
Right.
This is where MuleSoft comes into play.
Awesome.
But it is also a mindset change. The mindset change with regards to sharing data between the retail and the wholesale level. But we're really striving for it because we believe that the analytical power on wholesale level will put our retail partners into a much better position to really focus on the customer engagement. So instead of having to jump through several different front ends and systems, they can really focus on the customer, and we support them with the relevant next best offer, next best activity recommendation in their front end.
Wow, amazing. That's a great kind of vision, journey that you're on, and thank you so much for spending time with us. Thank you, Sylvia.
Excellent.
Appreciate it.
Achyut, thank you.
Well, I'm sure most of you are thinking this transformation is so complicated. So how's BMW doing this? So let's see this in a demo. I'd like to invite Jessica Goitner from my team, Senior Director of Automotive Industry Solutions. Jessica?
What an interesting conversation we just heard from Achyut and Sylvia. Let's take a closer look. We heard BMW has the ambition to bring a world-class customer experience, as well as connecting the physical and the digital. So today we look at three things. We look at Melissa, she's our customer in that case. We look at Diego, who's a sales representative at a dealership, and we look at Ashley, who's a service agent at BMW. With that, we dive into it. Melissa is doing good and she's working hard. She has a BMW 3 Series for a while, and she's actually in the market for electric cars. So while traveling, she browses and she's getting on the landing page. And while browsing, she discovers the BMW i3 and she wants to find out more. She is actually configuring her dream car, which is a BMW i3, and she thinks, let's speed up the buying decision and go for a test drive. So she clicks schedule a test drive, and it's super easy for her to just fill in her data and submit that request to the dealer. BMW actually takes that test drive request, and once it enters Sales Cloud, that's really actually amazing because they standardize, normalize, and clean up that lead while it enters Sales Cloud. Of course, taking care of all the data privacy regulations that are responsible and that are needed for that. And let's take a closer look at that lead. It's scored with 71% because Melissa has purchased her BMW 3 Series previously at that dealership. So Diego, who receives that lead from Melissa, actually sees her configuration on the right side, sees her current vehicle, and he also sees the lead source, where that lead actually came from. And so he has all the information he needs to decide that he actually wants to directly get engaged with Melissa, so he decides to schedule a test drive. And he offers Melissa to come to her office to do that test drive together with her, and Melissa thinks that's actually awesome. So they go on the test drive, and while being on that test drive, Diego takes care of all the things that Melissa wanted to discuss with him. She wanted to discuss the connected app, and she also wanted to know more about the assisted drive features BMW has to offer. And Diego takes all the discussion with Melissa while being on that drive. And while they are on that drive, Diego takes that note for himself. Once they are finished, Diego takes out Einstein Voice, and while driving back to the dealership, he actually takes all the notes that he wants. So, create a task you today to send assisted drive features and pricing details to Melissa. With doing that, Diego doesn't lose anything on the way back. He's actually done with everything he wanted to do, and no more paperwork while coming back to the dealership. This makes sure that Melissa really gets a world-class experience while her test drive. And with that, no wonder that Melissa is actually deciding to purchase that car, so she goes for that i3. And Melissa has her i3 for a while now, and it's getting cold in New York. So she wants to activate from the BMW Connect app the auxiliary heating, but she can't figure it out. So she calls service. And all the data that is available is aggregated with MuleSoft. And so Ashley, our service agent, actually sees everything. She sees Melissa's configuration, but we didn't stop there. She also sees the previous things that Melissa was interacting with BMW. She also sees all the information about vehicle identification number, car type, her favorite dealer, and everything. But we were at that auxiliary heating activation, and with the knowledge articles, Einstein suggests her the actually best solution for doing that. So she sees all the information that she can guide Melissa through, and she can send her that customized information with one click. But we don't stop there. Ashley detects that while they were on the test drive, Melissa actually has that assisted drive features in her car, but she didn't utilize it at that extent. So she actually can send her detailed information also about the assisted drive features and really can create a totally personalized experience for Melissa. So Melissa is actually feeling awesome. But BMW doesn't stop there. We want to take a closer look we heard that Sylvia also spoke about how they optimize their business. Let's take a closer look at this. BMW has a great amount of data available, and what you see in that visionary demo here is that they can control their sales performances across dealerships and across everything on one click. And even the deviation from targets are aggregated with Einstein Analytics at a fingertip. And I think I want to conclude with this. BMW is not only giving their customers a world-class experience, but they also make sure that every partner and employee actually has an easy life and can engage with the help of data even better than today. And I think with that, I want to bring back Achyut with another trailblazing story. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessica. Thanks, Jessica. So in our industry, there's a lot going on. Carbon footprint, decarbonization, and energy reduction is top of the mind. One of the customers who's really in the center of this conversation and how they're transforming the future of their employees and the work from this type of a transformation is Engie, who's a global utility services provider from France. Let's see how they're using the Salesforce Customer 360 platform. Let's roll the video.
Looking at the future, the journey that we've embarked on is truly revolutionary. We're inventing a new industry here. And for a revolutionary world, a new idea, we need a set of revolutionary tools.
We came from a situation where our first business was to produce energy and to be paid for that, to a situation where our first business is to help our clients to save energy and to be paid for that.
The relationship with our client is even more important because we need to design new solutions. So it's not a copy-paste.
Because here the point is to have a tailor-made approach client by client.
If there is a company in the tech world that really for 20 years has put the customer first, it's Salesforce.
Customer 360 implementation is how we can empower our employee, but also our client.
Listening, learning about each one of those customers has become essential and core to our success in the new world.
This is the only way to be able to have a really client-centric approach and global approach.
From Shanghai to Santiago, you can have 2 field technicians at a Starbucks with Salesforce technology and develop an app in a snap. This is exactly what empowerment is all about.
This wave is unstoppable. It's not just a vision of today, but a vision of the future. We are inventing new technologies to become more agile, more innovative, more creative, to be in front of the wave.
The adoption of the next generation of tools has nothing to do with your birth date. And this is not about selling only. It's also for 100,000 field technicians to operate, to connect.
So Salesforce is really critical for us because the name of the game is to stay ahead of the pack, you know?
It's the power of the customer in their hands. That's what it is. And it is a gigantic success.
Well, Engie is truly a trailblazer, and we are lucky to have the person you saw in the video, Eve, who's the Chief Digital Officer. I want to bring Eve onto the stage to talk about this powerful vision that he's leading. Eve, it's an amazing video, amazing vision.
Yes.
Tell us more about Engie and its digital strategy.
Well, actually, there is no digital strategy. Digital is so core to what we do that there is an Engie strategy. Our strategy is simple, is one-stop shopping for zero carbon as a service. We offer to the largest corporation in the world and the largest cities a partnership to go and transition to zero carbon. There is nothing more important today than to aggressively tackle the climate change challenge.
Awesome. That's like a very broad strategy. And as you're going through this strategy, obviously, employees are at the heart of this and the change that employees have to go through that. Can you please talk how you're empowering this next generation of employees?
Yes. So in order to embark 150,000 staff that we have worldwide, we've equipped them with the right sort of technology, i.e. Salesforce technology.
Thank you.
We've deployed Customer 360 so that they've got in their hands everything we know about their customers. And we've gradually, over the past 3 years, fully rolled out this first layer of technology. The next challenge is to bring and connect, and probably MuleSoft could help in there, all the existing underlying real-time systems so that they really have all the carbon information and data about what's being burned into their hands so that they can advise their customers and make the right decisions. I would add that more importantly than technology, or on top of technology, the overall purpose that you wake up in the morning and do something good for the planet is something that really rallies people behind us in a very efficient way.
Your passion definitely comes through. You have this great vision, obviously, around the company, but then how does this technology, as Cindy talked about this, how do we get new people on the organization, acquire, retain, and hire them? How has this helped to get new workforce in your company?
Well, two things. First of all, if you want to attract young talent today, you need to equip them with cool technology. And Salesforce is a very cool technology.
Thank you.
The other thing is that you have to provide them with a purpose, a meaning. Why is it that you wake up in the morning? And are you contributing to the world? And I think this particular purpose that Engie has is a fantastic purpose. And what we've seen actually translates into numbers. Over the past 3 years, ever since Isabelle Cocher took over, and she set the company into this direction with this great ambition, we've seen the amount of spontaneous applications and CVs being sent to us jumped by 80%. So it just works.
Wow. Well, decarbonization is central to your strategy. Sustainability is central to your strategy. Sustainability is something that we at Salesforce also think about. Let me bring Cindy back up here. Let's talk about sustainability and the importance.
Well, you just told a great story about what's happening with your recruitment and your workforce. And one of the things you're going to see throughout this whole week is the vision around the Sustainable Development Goals. And each industry or each of the keynotes will have one they are aligning around. But I think you shared the story around how you're aligning around a few of them. And it's really made an impact to your workforce and their recruitment. Could you share a little bit more about that? We were talking about that before.
Well, yes. I think that the fact that you share the same values, you bring a set of values to the younger generations makes a big difference. I think Mark articulated very convincingly yesterday. Every time Isabelle is on stage, she's also sharing that. It just has a huge impact.
It's about doing good.
It's about doing good, doing well, and doing good at the same time.
That's great. And that's a great story. Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you.
Cindy.
He's got a fan club up here. And as I mentioned, in each one of the keynotes, you'll hear about each of us focused on one of these sustainability goals. So naturally here for industries, we're focused on the industry and innovation and the infrastructure, which we heard quite a bit about today. So let me bring you back to those three things. What is that digital business operating model that you're deploying, and how are you doing it? We heard some great examples of customers today. They're on that journey. And leveraging that platform for innovation, be ready for that change in the marketplace, and heard also some great examples. And of course, as we just talked about, is be ready for the future of work, however that's defined. So I invite you now to be ready for the rest of this week because we have a lot more going on. We have a manufacturing lounge, which is a great place for all of you to network and learn from each other. We also have the campground steep in some more product demonstrations that you saw today, as well as please take note of the site here for all the breakout sessions that go a bit deeper by our industry verticals. And last but not least, as you're also some of you walking out, please fill out the survey. Your response to the surveys help us shape the customer stories that come on stage today. So if you had fun listening to the stories and you learned from them, your feedback is welcome. And have a great week, and thank you.